This is a HeadGum podcast.
Who's that knocking at the door? It's all your friends, you filthy whore. Your husband's gone and we've got books and a bottle of wine to kill. It's Hollywood. It's books. It's gossip. I'm shook. It's memoirs. It's martinis. It's Studio 54. It's Celebrity Book Club. Come read it while it's hot. Celebrity Book Club. Tell your secrets, we won't talk. Celebrity Book Club. No boys are allowed. Celebrity Book Club. Say it loud and proud. Celebrity Book Club.
Buzz me in, I brought the Cuervo. Hello, best friend, sister, lover, ex-husband, charity co-chair.
Hello, my dearest lesbian house painter of many years and assistant hairdresser, longtime confidant, abuser, grandfather's neighbor who always drove me to school in his pickup truck every day, and I'll never forget your kindness.
My name is Lily Murata.
And my name is Stephen Phillips Horst, and this
is Celebrity Book Club. Today we are talking about an actually pretty big celebrity.
Yeah, no, not like our usual D-listers, honey. This person...
She's big.
Okay, she's a headliner.
Okay, she's a movie star. When movies were shot on celluloid.
I mean, when there still were movie stars. I'm sorry, but they just don't exist.
They don't exist anymore.
Okay.
Okay, it's not this Netflix.
It's
Get up and take a shit in the middle. Okay, I'm talking about movies where you sat down.
Where you went down to the theater and you paid 25 cents for a ticket and you said, I want to see the Markle Mabel picture. And they said, well, come right in, darling, because everyone's here to see the Mabel picture.
And you didn't pull out your phone during the screening, darling.
My goodness, no. And then you went looking up on Wikimedia. Oh, who's in there? So let me see the talk tick. What's happening over there? No, darling. These were real stars. They had real lives. They had real faces.
35 millimeter. We're talking about
none other
than Sharon Stone's new book,
The Beauty of Living Twice.
This book carries so freaking hard.
Yeah, this book is so fucking random, I guess, is actually kind of the word I was thinking.
No, random is up there. I would say
it doesn't disappoint in terms of, like, she does give actress vibes.
Yes.
And she is like, I'm an actress, and I have lots of staff, and I've had a crazy life, and I'm very rich. Like, that is there, for sure. Every other page, she's at Cannes.
Well, it's giving... I actually wanted to start out the pod and kind of just quickly go through the checklist. I feel like now that we've been, doing this for a few weeks of things that it hits that we see that all pods do, I feel like... Number one, I was like a totally weird, gangly kid, and then it's transitions, no explanation, into the fact that she became a model. But you're kind of like...
Right. I was super awkward. Everyone made fun of me. I had no friends. I was insanely smart and like this huge nerd who was so gangly and tall. I didn't look like anyone. And I was a boy.
Disgusting.
I was disgusting.
So ugly.
My breasts were so big and so tiny. And
my eyes were sunken. I was so thin.
And they kept telling me to eat and I just couldn't. And then I became a model and a sex symbol.
Yeah. And okay, so that
we have
check.
That. Number two,
Buddha. She's like
she actually fully is a Buddhist.
Yeah, she is a Buddhist. She is the most Buddha statue.
Of course, she's into Amma, the hugging guru.
Oh, the hugging saint.
Yes,
who she's like now best friends with.
No, and it's just like I'm sure you and every other fucking innocent thinks that she's best friends with Amma. Just being like, no, and whenever we see each other, we hang out, and I tell her about my life, and she hugs me. It's like it sounds like that's the relationship she has with anyone.
No, it's like this bitch is so free hugs or whatever.
Like she's literally the girl in the park with the free hug sign. And you're like, we're so close. And like whenever we're in the same town, when fate brings us into the same town with our crazy schedules.
Oh, she's like, she actually asks me about my life. And it's like the narcissism vibes. And she's like, and I get to tell her about like my custody battle.
My custody battle and the 18 different charity foundations that I founded yesterday that I'm also helping Hugh McGregor found tomorrow. And it's just like, this hoe's just sitting there just like nodding line while she's hugging other people in a line. And Sharon's just like, and blah, blah, blah. And then Jude Law said that we actually couldn't get the flight to Urukmi. And I said, oh, what when we used to? But then thankfully Liam Neeson was able to charter us a plane so we could give supplies to the war-torn children.
And then I called my very, very good. Okay, so I would say then what differs is like it's less like her like totally like spilling like tea.
Not a ton of tea.
It's more just like the name droppery is so funny in Celeb and Much More Samer, where she's like, it's every page is just like, and I called my dear, dear good friend Wyclef Jean.
Yeah. It's much more kind of accurately celeb in this way where she thinks everyone is her close friend.
Yeah.
And she's just like, no, it's so funny that I said this because Wyclef Jean, one of my really good friends, actually introduced me to Madonna and kind of then came in the room. And it's like, these are kind of people that she probably met like once or twice, but like, I doubt that she's super close with.
I mean, I was definitely imagining like Wyclef Jean is playing like Gone Till November and just like she's there in slim glasses, just like kind of swaying.
Okay, I have to say, one thing I got from this whole book was she kind of gives, but in the checklist also abuse, obviously.
Oh yeah, obviously abuse.
Like,
and like, let's go with it. Incest, country vibe.
Yeah.
Factories.
Oh wait, is the incest? You mean when she said that her and her best friend like learned to French kiss with each other's brothers?
No. Her grandfather abused her.
Oh yeah,
I guess that's incest.
Okay, I guess that is
It's
incest.
like your grandfather.
Well, he abused the sister, but he didn't rape her.
But then she like does say that he kind of did also.
Here's
it's a little bit unclear.
This book is the whole thing is unclear.
Yeah, no, it's very.
No, well, I felt like this book almost read like the way that your mom texts. Where you get a really long text and she's just like, Jeannie and I had roast peppers and my new like adoptee from Syria is coming along so well. And I can't believe Meghan Markle said that in her interview. I love this Netflix show. Call me back. You looked great in the magazine. And you're just like, what? This is 18 different thoughts. Like the whole book is so scattered. And it starts out with her having this like neurological condition that's completely insane. She goes to surgery. We should talk about it.
Yeah, we need to talk about that.
But I'm just like, part of me feels like it's not even scattered because she has a neurological issue. It's actually, she's just such an insane celeb that this is how she thinks. No,
it's full celeb in how she thinks. And again, like shout out to my mom, one of our biggest listeners. We love never stop texting like you do.
No, and I'm obsessed with a Roz text and I live for a Roz text.
Well, I actually, before, this is actually what is so Roz about this book. So Sharon Stone identifies as kitchen sink Irish, which is like poor. So there's lace curtain Irish,
right,
and there's kitchen sink Irish. Lace curtain Irish means, you know, you grew up with more, you had lace curtains. So then I asked my mom and I was like, so Sharon Stone refers to herself as kitchen sink Irish. Like, what are we? And she...
Well, let's just explain. So kitchen sink Irish means that you have
poor.
like 5 people
yeah.
and living in the house together and only one bathroom. So you're pissing in the sink, which I do know that our good friend Eric does from time to time. Because
he did that when we were roommates. Yeah, he was always pissing in the sink, and that bathroom was like already disgusting. And it's like,
but I think that's like him being this like pathological, disgusting like gay guy where he like needs to mark his territory or something.
Yeah, it didn't feel like needed. Or I don't know. It's like, or I feel like he was so much more like piss bottled the room and like pissing in the sink, and it's kind of like, girl. I mean, that mansion where we did me and Tuckle Eric, as I guess we'll refer to him on the pod,
as opposed to
just like Eric. I don't know. Your brother, Eric?
True. Okay. Got it.
A lot of Erics. I guess that house was so kitchen sink Irish because it was like 9 people living to this massive dilapidated house.
And that's your trauma.
But yeah, and that's where I was kitchen sink Irish. But then I asked my mom and she goes, I've never heard of kitchen sink Irish. I think the more common term is shanty Irish, your lace curtain or your shanty.
Okay.
And that's...
Shanty just being like general seafaring folk?
Yeah. And it's like because you live in a shanty or you live in a house with lace curtains.
Right.
And it's like that is actually what's so Sharon Stone is I feel like she kind of made up... I do think shanty is probably the more used term, and I feel like she kind of made up kitchen sink Irish. I don't know. I feel like my mom is a little kitchen sink Irish, but also lace curtain. She's in the...
I'm just seeing links to kitchen sink suppliers in Ireland.
It's just like Siobhan O'Clearity's kitchen sink suppliers.
I'm seeing an article in the Irish Times that says 8 new takes on the kitchen sink.
Now, if you Google...
Okay, so Sharon Stone, you fake, you made it up, but that's cool, and I'm obsessed with that. And she has absolute license to make up her own terms.
Exactly. Because my mom, I want to say they're lace curtain because like her parents were doctors, but they were also 11 children and probably just had one bathroom and also had horses and crows in the home. My grandmother had a pet crow. Did I tell you that?
So haunted and fabulous.
No.
It's so portrait of a lady with a crow.
Yeah. And I feel like they tried to like kind of treat it as a parrot.
Like, and make it talk?
Yeah, make it talk. And it did like laugh or something sometimes.
This is twisted.
So that's what feels a little kitchen sink Irish to me.
Edgar Allan Poe up in here.
No, I know. Full Poe vibes.
I feel like maybe your mom was like pissing in the stables or something.
Yeah, I feel like they're a little more like stable Irish.
Outdoor stuff.
But this is also very Irish because, the Irish are known storytellers.
Oh, absolutely.
Which
a
I feel
country
like
of
is,
bards.
Yeah, which I feel like is so Sharon Stone. Maybe that's where the Sharon Stone kind of Roz connection of these kind of like strong.
Well, she's fascinated by people.
And
the
stories.
one passion and through line that you see throughout her whole life, she's fascinated by other people, whether it's her gardener or her cook
or her head of security, or a woman, a sex worker she met. Okay, what I get also is the most celebrity that like definitely like the Demis are like not getting into like just this full kind of like ad for her being like the best human on earth.
Of her being a humanitarian. I mean, every celebrity does this and like starts a foundation. And like from my very first book, Andre Agassi, like starting in school, it's like they all want to do this and they all want a Nobel Peace Prize. She actually has received a Nobel for something.
I mean, she clearly does the work.
She does a lot. I mean, I think
it's like the most she's so, and I'm going to mispronounce this word, self-congratulatory.
Boom! Nailed it on the first try.
Speaking, yes.
Wow, you really, that's very Sharon Stone. You're sticking it to that like speech teacher you had in middle school, the one who told her that she was just like dumb as bricks and would never be, or like slow as ice.
Oh, I forget. Wait, did they put her in a dunce cap or her brother in a dunce cap?
They put her brother in a dunce cap and it was very traumatizing. And then he later became a coke dealer.
Which is the first, I feel like, okay. So the whole like first part of the book is like her being like, we're kitchen sink Irish, but then like also going back and forth to like her brain aneurysm at age 40. It's so confusing. And then all of a sudden she's like,
I felt like I was having a brain aneurysm reading this book.
Same, because I was like going back pages. I was like, sorry, did I miss something? When she's like, my brother was, and then he turned into a bad
constantly
man.
Thought that I had missed something that she had, that I was like, was I just speed reading and I didn't see this part where she was like, and she revealed that like someone had cancer or someone raped someone or someone was murdered or someone went to jail. Wait, can I read this passage about the brother? Because this is also what's kind of your mom text where it just moves so quickly. Where she's talking about her brother and how he's like joined the military as a teen. One day when my brother was in the Air Force, he was up on a hydraulic lift working on his car and then jumped down, catching his wedding ring on the trunk latch and ripping his finger off. He ended up in the amputee ward with the vets coming in from Vietnam. He got gangrene and nearly lost his hand and part of his arm. He saw too much. These guys were smoking marijuana and using heroin to cut the extra phantom pain that they were struggling with. This is where he began to see the drug world unfurl. This is, I imagine, where his life changed from that of a country boy with the all-American ideals to the guy who ended up in Attica, which was a prison that he was sent to for dealing cocaine. You're like, I'm sorry, wait, hold on. He ripped his wedding finger off in a lift and then was in a military like hospital with like heroin junkies and became a coke dealer and then went to jail for 15 years. And then he couldn't get a job in Hollywood when he moved in with her because he was an ex-felon. And that's what led her to start the foundation
with my very good friend, Quincy Jones.
Producer of such incredible albums as Thriller and Bad.
It's also so fab how like she acts instead of like I feel like how some books the celebrities like it's just a stream of conscious where they're like, and we're in conversation like, and honey, like his dick was huge. This is like kind of like she acts like you guys are old friends and she doesn't need to fill in some of the details.
No, and I'm like, girl, we don't know this shit.
Yeah,
like
she's definitely the brother stuff. And then so when she's like raped by her grandfather, she's just like, at some point she's like, and we are all survivors. And my mother left Clarence's home. And then when they dropped me off, the cats were tied to the bathtub. And he took me into the room. And that is the thing about being a victim. And you're like,
I'm sorry.
Sorry, what happened?
What? No, there's
and
a part
I do
where,
get that it's like, as a victim, you it's, you're not remembering things.
Well, but then, I mean, she actually described, in Harrowing, I feel like it's very
then she describes
abuse
later
the way
on,
when
yes.
she's describing her sister getting raped by the grandfather.
Oh.
And it's so movie the way that she's remembering the certain details, just being like the grandma is preventing her from leaving the room.
That was actually the scariest part. It was like such a scary Ryan Murphy thing where this grandma is right.
With the nails like gripping the sides of the door.
They're like, you can't leave till you like suck my 80-year-old husband off.
Yeah. Well, she's watching her sister.
No, I know. Just being like, you have to
Which
watch.
was also so Janice that like she's walking in the sister.
That's so funny because I also wrote.
Well, so did you write Janice?
I wrote Janice vibes in my notes. Also because she's a model at the same time.
Okay.
Janice is.
I'm so curious if they overlap.
Because she's at Studio 54. She's gone on go-sees and she talks about meeting. So she actually becomes a model.
Literally the early 80s and she's like going to Paris and like going to Studio 54. I feel like they literally were maybe getting booked for similar jobs.
Probably also. So
And Janice never mentions Sharon, which makes me think that there's something going, because Janice mentions everyone.
I know.
And I'm like, the fact that I was like, does that mean that they like had an issue?
Here's some Detective Lily work.
Okay.
When she's like first trying to become a model, she goes to see Wilhelmina, and Wilhelmina already
has cancer. Oh, that was later on.
And that was later. And Janice had already like left her when she had cancer, but like went to go visit her in the hospital with Gia.
Right. With Gia, and she was just like, "Thank you for everything you did, even though you like didn't believe me." And I like walked out of your office to get a better contract across the street.
So I feel like maybe like Sharon was going on, and she said she was like sent to the weird jobs. She was being like a fit model when Janice was like
because
already doing
these quotes
Versace.
When they were just like, "You and your fat ass, Sharon Stone." And that photo that producer Meg was just showing us, the ass was giving me flat boots. But I guess the concept of the ass has changed quite a lot since the 80s.
I think so.
What was fat in the 80s is now like, is thin, and people would, they would get injectables to get rid of it.
Yeah, I don't think like the ass was something
people
appreciated.
No, they didn't. Well, I also think that there wasn't the concept of the ass being different than like the hips being wide. It was like people thought that like wideness was just bigness at all. Whereas like now I think there's a much more like nuanced understanding of like you want the ass to be big but the waist to be small and like the legs to be thin but like the thigh gap like with a huge ass or whatever.
Well, if I may actually argue with that at one point, isn't like the iconic like 50s how like bodice though? Hello, like bullet bra. It is to be more Betty Page and like big hip, small waist.
But even then, though, I feel like there was an understanding that, like, you wanted there to be an hourglass shape, but it was the ass itself was not thought of as an objet.
Except for, okay, this is so random, but I kind of think, like, men's asses were like appreciated. Used to be bigger, and like in this like cowboy sense of people being like hubba hubba, like John Travolta's ass.
And I do, and my anecdotal confirmation of that thesis of yours is that I feel like I always hear women of aunt or mom age
being like,
say,
look at that
butt. They always say, well, he has such a cute butt. Like I feel like that's always my mom or other moms are always just being like saying that a man has a cute butt, and it's like, excuse me?
Yeah, you're like, what?
You're looking at this like dad jeaned ass being like, what a cute butt. And I'm like, well, girl, like it's not like you're rimming it. So like, why do you
question.
care?
It's kind of funny. It's like, are you okay? 2 butt anecdotes of people of like divorced aunt energy. One, my mom's friend Annette, who I've mentioned in the pod before, who took me to Reba. Brad Paisley opened, and he was like not famous then. He was wearing these Wranglers, and she was like, ugh, look at that butt in those jeans. And it was so like me being a teen, like hearing this woman who like is in her mid-30s being like, talk about like, I was like, okay, and it's like I don't even know like how big Brad Paisley's like. I think it's
because the Wranglers classically are super flat around the butt. I mean, it's that Bruce Springsteen, the All-American.
That 501s. And then my other butt comment is I just watched that new show that's like based off Aaron Brockovich, Rebel.
Oh my God, you watched Rebel?
Watched Rebel. Anyway, there's a part in it where she's talking to like this old lawyer that she works for and is like talking about his dead wife and being like, your dead wife told me you had an ass for days.
Ew.
And it's like, what?
Ass for days.
Maybe I'm paraphrasing ass for days, but like it was like a munch, and it is kind of my question
again
to straight girls.
What are y'all
Right
doing
in.
with the ass that you are so excited by? Because I'm gonna go ahead and guess that the vast majority of them are not rimming or pegging.
Yeah, I think you're right. And I could see Sharon Stone like looking at a guy being like, oh,
Yeah.
look at that ass. We were smoking hash. Okay, so another checklist. She is pretty sober, but she loves weed, which is cool. I feel like we haven't kind of like done a stoner.
Well, I don't. Okay, this is the thing, and this is where she's so me / just like any study abroad girl, where it's like, does she love weed or does she just love the romance of just like running guns in Africa in the 80s and getting hash like from this man from Madagascar who gave it to her, and they all smoked hash in the hotel like during the Civil War. It's like she likes the sort of like romance of hash, and it just reminded me of like smoking hash in Paris when I was in college and just like riding on the back of a drug dealer's motorcycle through Paris and just like thinking that I was like the sexiest, most like feminine person on earth. But like, I don't think she's so like Courtney Cox or like Shoka or whatever and like lighting up a joint with her gal pals like around a pizza oven.
Well, funny that you say pizza oven. May I read? I do fully agree with you that she's beyond study abroad and is just like, because, okay, she's...
Yeah.
I'm going to read this passage about her time in Africa.
About Zimbabwe?
Yeah, and pizza.
Oh my God, the pizza party. Wait, no, this is what I wanted to talk about.
Okay.
This was so Eat, Pray, Love.
Wait, okay.
When she makes the
pizza. Wait, can I read it?
We'll find the passage.
Okay, wait. Okay. I went to the kitchen. So whatever. She's in Zimbabwe.
For context, she's shooting a film in Zimbabwe. The film goes up in flames. It's like there's rain, there's drought, there's like a middle of like a civil war, there's an incredible famine. They're like staying
and she's always like, you have to go to Africa. The most wonderful people. But it's harsh, honey.
It's a harsh life, but it'll change you. And she's like staying at this hotel in Zimbabwe, and she's like, none of them had ever seen a film before.
Right. It's like this is again of like her being the most like boomer person, because she's like again being self-congratulatory, like how obsessed she is and how many friends she made in Africa.
She like introduce all these Zimbabweans like the beauty of cinema.
Yeah. Okay. We all became close in our little groups. Oh, also, by the way, I listened to this on audio and her voice was unreal.
Yeah,
because
I'm kind of jealous of this.
It's like not, I feel like we do our like theater kind of like darling actress. It's like, is that like Sharon Stone, like smoky
There's a smoky,
voice?
yeah.
We all became quite close in our little groups. We went through so much. There was the issue of the borders being closed, so when we lost a dolly wheel for the camera cart, we couldn't get another one. Frankly, we couldn't get anything. Not decent food, nothing. I got an old television and a VCR and a huge box of tapes sent over. The first film I played was Lawrence of Arabia. All of the hotel staff were absolutely mesmerized when I put it on. They had never seen a film of any kind. It was wonderful. So it is also like her being white savior, also this entire book just being like, can you believe these poor people had never seen Lawrence of Arabia? And I found an old VCR and I got to show them the great films.
The great flicks of the 50s and 60s.
Okay,
Open their minds.
I went to the kitchen and found flour and water and old awful faded to white canned vegetables and made some haphazard pizza. To this day, this remains the best party I ever had. Black hash from the Congo, very bad pizza, and this film playing while people looked behind the TV to see where it came from. She's like, they didn't even know. Like, they had to look behind the TV.
What's this magic box? I mean, okay.
We were so happy, and it was so beautiful. We were filthy and poor and starving and full of love. It's like, well, actually, you weren't poor, babe. You had already done Basic Instinct and
poor.
Casino.
You were just here, just sort of like on a sort of kooky work trip / vacation. But I feel like this is so me, and I was just being like, the most incredible moments that you have are like not the fancy restaurant, but where you just happen to be at a random broken down 4th century inn in the south of France with the villagers, and you make this kooky, crazy coco vin with just like expired chicken, and everyone's laughing, and you have the most incredible wine, and it's €3, but who cares?
Oh, who cares? The 3. It's like, the times are right. she's like, the times you remember isn't at con, even though she mentions con every other page, but it's literally defining you because it's like you're study abroad, you're itching to go study abroad again already. And it's like, you're just being like, no, it was like free. It's like when someone says they had a crazy night, it usually involves this. It means just like you stayed out late and like met someone you didn't know and like went to a third location and then there were beers.
When someone has, I had a no, it's so true because like an actual crazy night, you don't really say like, oh, I had a crazy night.
Right. It's like
you're just like, oh, I like slept with this guy, or just like, oh, I just like we like partied so much. You're like, oh, like I did just like 18 8-balls or something. But like when you say I had a crazy night, it means that you met someone of like a different socioeconomic status. You
got in a Vespa.
You got in a Vespa. You like talked with someone who's like older than you.
And you
about,
shared
like,
stories.
You shared stories.
And it's someone that
and
you
made
wouldn't
a friend for life.
Celebrity Book Club.
She also, by the way, I mean, I will say, well, you know, obviously do our rating at the end, but I would urge people to even read this book or listen on audio. So this is not really a spoiler, but I'm like, she literally like takes claim for like being the front runner activist of the Soweto uprising in South Africa.
Wait, yeah, that was insane. She was just like, and so we were there while Soweto was on fire. And so we stole walkie-talkies from the PAs. We cut holes in the fence. We were getting families out of their burning homes.
She's like, I told everyone on the crew to give their per diems to like the children with burned down homes. We stopped calls.
And you know, none of us can fact check any of this. And I think, you know, she does have this.
She did literally win a Nobel Peace Prize.
She won a Nobel Peace Prize or something. So she obviously has this urge to really inject herself into humanitarian situations.
Yes.
Like, and it's mostly kind of, you know, it's always in this sort of same vein. It's always a very out of Africa. It's always like a third world.
No, and she did say also,
I guess, but she's also concerned with local homelessness in California.
In LA. I was actually kind of surprised that like Roan or Laird or one of her children haven't told
her kids have the most just like medieval names.
Wait, no, Laird. This was so insane. This was so me actually. Just giving myself a giggle.
Okay,
she was like,
what happened?
She adopts Laird, which we'll hold on. I'm just gonna get through the Laird story, then we'll talk about her other son.
Yeah, I mean we're waiting.
Okay. Whatever. She adopts Laird and is just like, some people have ice cream pregnancy cravings. My cravings were to watch surfer movies. And it's like, you weren't pregnant. You adopted. So you just wanted to watch surfer movies. She's like, my friend said I was ridiculous. So she named her son Laird after like someone from like a 60s surfer movie.
Yeah. No, this is where it's just like, you are batty, Bo Batty.
Yeah. And you're like, so you're waiting for adoption papers, watching a lot of surfing movies.
At the same time, you know, I'm a huge believer in psychosomatic things. And it's just like, you know, how real is pregnancy cravings versus how real is I'm going to have an adoption craving. It's like, obviously the body is preparing itself for something.
Oh my God. And this is, and adoption people don't start. This is where I get canceled for being like rude to
we're so pro-adoption. Do not let the adoption police come after us. But no, I mean, it's a family like any other.
Absolutely. Anyway, so I'm sure you do have cravings, you know,
yes.
And surfing, it's very chill, you know, it's about catching waves. It's
and yet some of those waves can kill. It is an extremely dangerous sport. And I don't want to encourage people to go out there without the proper training.
Have you ever tried to surf?
Yeah, I can't. I mean, I can't skateboard. I can't surf. I mean, that sort of balancing eludes me.
Wild. Yeah,
like standing up on the board for 2 seconds. I can't do it. I mean, you know, I'm a skier, right? And a skier is your legs are parallel, and you can use both of them. The problem with snowboarding, skateboarding, surfing, all these things is it asks you to twist your body in this way and have your feet be like conjoined.
Here's what I don't get. Why are the most quote unquote badass sports? You have to have amazing balance. So all my life, obviously, I wanted to be badass. I wanted to surf. I wanted to skate. I wanted to snowboard. I have horrible balance genetically.
Right, because of your gyroscopic vertigo issues.
And my father had horrible balance.
Right. So you're saying
I'm saying,
It's
isn't it more badass to have bad balance and like fall everywhere?
No, I completely agree.
like-
It's 10 times more fucking punk to have vertigo than it is to be a fucking surfer. Sorry,
Right.
Paul Walker.
Yeah. Oh, I gotta stand on this one
Rest in
board.
peace, you pussy. No, I agree. I think it's like, it's way more
you.
fucking badass to rollerblade. And speaking of rollerblading, Sharon Stone would roller skate around New York when she was going to modeling gigs. And that's when she booked her role as an extra in this Woody Allen movie, which is what started her film career. And there's that insane scene when she's like just got off her roller skates. I'm sure she looks like 19.
Yeah.
She's sitting in the waiting room and Woody
It's the
Allen,
70s.
somebody like didn't show up for this role. And Woody Allen comes out and she was like, and I was reading a children's book. And I guess like
so
Woody
creepy.
Allen was interested in that. And you're like, huh. Oh, I guess he was.
I feel like this is what she does in the book. Like, she's not going to go against.
She doesn't actually call out anyone, but
she leaves his. She's like, huh.
Well, wait,
the Harvey not Firestein, Weinstein. She's talking about, like, again, some fundraiser or something. And she's like, and of course, it was held by Kenneth Cole and his very good friend, Harvey Weinstein.
She said now notorious. She was like, and his
Oh, now
notorious
his
friend.
And then it's also like, okay, so Kenneth Cole and Harvey Weinstein were like bros.
What do you mean? Everyone was like, Harvey
of
Weinstein
friends
was
with,
like the most powerful person in Hollywood. Everyone was with him at all times.
And so then then she kind of like drags Harvey a little bit later when she talks about how she spoke out about China because of what they were doing to Tibet, and she's so free Tibet. And then she was like,
when she got all this like shit in the press, and then I like that she was just like, everyone was such bullshit, and like Dior dropped her.
Dior literally dropped her
because she had like the gall to criticize China. I mean,
and she's being so like, fuck Bush. Oh wait, how obsessed are you? Her publicist is the Dixie Chicks publicist.
Oh yeah, I know.
She's like, and I loved what they did when they stuck it to George W. Bush. And she's being just so early.
And she put them on magazines instead of not putting them on magazines. Kind of like, well, a publicist is like supposed to put her clients on magazines.
But then she's like, and my publicist did answer for me, like after the whole China thing.
No, she was pissed about the China thing, and all these statements were going out being like, I mean, it is insane. I'm sorry, but it's just like, you actually just like, you couldn't criticize China then. You can't criticize them now.
You still can't do it now.
I'm sorry, but like, you know.
We're getting shut down by Monk Pack over
no, I'm
here
sure.
for
I'm sure
criticizing
Monk
China.
is just for even talking about this. Monk Pack is going to be just like, sorry, we're cutting the sponsorship.
Yeah.
We're severing ties. You know, everyone's got to kiss the goddamn ring.
So she says one thing where she's like, where's all that money that I like raised for China or something?
She raises $18 million on Barry Diller and Diane von Furstenberg's yacht for
my very good friend.
Generally for China. And then she's like, and I don't know where that money went. And I feel like it's just kind of this weird admission of the fact that this entire world, which is a part of it, is completely
all
fake.
a scam. Well, she
the
goes,
whole philanthropy community is just like, it's just rich people like writing checks to other rich people that like go to some organization that like goes to nowhere and no one cares. It's just about.
But then when she's like, ask Harvey Weinstein where the money went.
Yeah,
that's all she says. And then she's like,
and you're kind of like, okay, like, so what are you implying?
And then she'll just be like, and this whole thing about the Me Too. Like she keeps on like referencing Me Too.
I mean, the thing is, she can't. She's so every sentence just like immediately goes on to another sentence. It's like no idea lasts more than like maybe 3 lines in this book because she's just absolutely jumping all over the place. Wait.
The other thing I want to talk about her style when she's always like shocked when she like gets to go to the Oscars, which is also so ridiculous. I mean, it's very kitchen sink Irish. She's always just like, and we're watching TV. And I'm sitting there with my lesbian financial advisor who's dying of cancer. And they announced the Oscar nominations. And then they announced my name. And I said, I have to go. But she talks about how this is so like crazy. Did you see the part where she talks about how Vera Wang, she was, quote unquote, she was like helping Vera Wang transition from bridal to fashion by like being Sam.
Oh, by like wearing her dress to the Oscar. Well, when the Vera Wang dress gets ruined and that's when she wears the iconic Gap t-shirt.
Yeah. So she also this is so insane and just like out of a movie. Her Vera Wang dress falls off a truck and gets run over.
And it's like this pink dress and like a big, huge
tire
monster truck
mark.
tire like goes up the center of it. And so her like friend comes over and friend's like, just get your 3 favorite things out of your closet. And they just style this look with what she had in her own wardrobe. Can you imagine?
Can you imagine your own clothes?
And it becomes the iconic Oscar look. Wait, producer Meg, can you pull up the iconic Sharon Stone Gap t-shirt Oscar look? It was an accident. It came because the Vera Wang dress got ruined.
And sometimes the best outfits are accidents.
They come in a panic. Wait, I'm sorry. Was it the most insane part of the book?
So much
She was on Nantucket for 9/11.
Oh my God, yes. Wait, we need to talk about... Wait, I'm also obsessed with last week reading Tan, his like whole chapter about like being Pakistani during 9/11 and flying. And she's like, so I was up early. I was on Nantucket. During 9/11. And her response is like so random. She's like, she's like, I called a ship off the Boston Harbor to like take us. She got like a private ferry and it's like, and then the whole story.
She just charters a boat as quickly as possible just to get back to Pennsylvania, which she always calls Penna.
Yeah, which is like, why is that? Why? Because the terrorists are coming for Nantucket?
It was just.
I think that's just like classic, like random response. You're like, I need to get home.
I need to be home. I need to be with loved ones.
But then all she does is the first thing she does is like throw a pitch out at the Oakland A's game. You're like, okay, so 9/11 hits. You need to leave Nantucket.
Well, she leaves Nantucket. I feel like they're home for like a couple days, like with her parents or whatever in Penna, and then she goes back to the Bay Area, which she never really explains like why she feels so like based in the Bay Area.
This is why, and this is in my research.
Okay,
and why she's so vague about it is because her second husband, Phil Bronstein, is like an investigative war reporter, and they live in Berkeley together.
Oh, because he's part of like the intelligentsia?
Yes.
Because he's such a photojournalist. Oh, I've always wanted to like date a photojournalist.
And he's like such a war reporter. And anyway, but that's the thing. She poured her heart into the relationship.
So she throws out the pitch to the Oakland A's, and then like 2 weeks later is when she has her insane neurological situation. Okay, wait. 2 things. So I do feel, obviously I related to the being on Nantucket during 9/11 thing, mostly because of my childhood and current adult time spent on Nantucket. Not because of 9/11.
Just because your parents have a house in Nantucket.
Yeah, because my parents have a house in Nantucket, and I related to that trauma. But I,
of
course,
going to Nantucket.
As you know, I was on a camping trip for school during 9/11.
You were at bivouac.
I was at bivouac.
And can I just say a note to our listeners, as we've argued about, not famously, just in one episode, Stephen was quite mad when I left middle school to go to a different high school where I met quote unquote cool friends and didn't invite him to events. One of the main reasons I did not continue on to the high school at Buckingham, Brown and Nichols is literally because I did not want to do that 2-week camping trip that was required.
It was freshman year starts with this mandatory 2-week camping trip in New Hampshire where it's like all the students go up with the teachers, which is like, so hello, me too, ?
Well, because my sister went on it and she like talked about like bathing and like seeing the math teacher's dick and just like it was all about like also digging the trains and I was like,
so the lowest art teacher boobs are present.
Yeah, I was like, I'm just not trying. I mean, to just shit in a hole and bathe my math teacher for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Sorry.
It builds character. I mean, as you know, I was a Boy Scout, so it wasn't so
You're more
like
camping
foreign
based.
to me.
I'm like super anti.
But I to this day, I'm actually kind of grateful that I was in a sort of sequestered, wooded environment for 9/11 because I wasn't bombarded with the images on media. And I feel like I didn't sort of like buy into the whole, I wasn't so 9/11 pilled like the rest of the country was. And I wasn't so just like traumatized by it. And it was just like, who cares? Like,
well, I will say, if now we're kind of going into our 9/11 experiences.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember them. This is very Sharon Stone in Zimbabwe, rolling in the TV through the cart into my Spanish class and us watching the towers.
And that's why you never actually learned Spanish, because you were so traumatized by 9/11. Otherwise, you'd be fluent.
But I feel like I was like just starting to make my like group of friends, which is like still currently just like our only friends. like Sam and Ellen.
Right.
And I remember I just feel like it kind of, obviously I realized it was very sad.
Did you see a divide between the so-called libtards and the based people in the class?
Yeah, it was very just like me. I remember me, Sam and Ellen, just like there was this girl I remember sobbing, being like, my uncle lives in Ohio, and like crying because of that. And I was like, okay, because like there is a Pentagon office there, and like I feel like I remember just like me and my like squad being kind of like, okay, yes, obviously like 9/11 is bad, but like I'm not gonna like start sobbing because like I may have a relative like in Pennsylvania, like where the Pentagon maybe is.
Oh wait, where the fourth plane crashed.
Sorry for Ohio stuff.
I just love the idea that you say there's a Pentagon office in Ohio. It's just like, what does that mean in Lily speak? But okay, yes.
Anyway, but it was just like, I'm sad for what happened in 9/11, but like there was
No, same.
No, I just remember I was a little grossed out. I remember being like by the people who were trying to make it like personal, and I got like grief is different.
Right.
You're kind of like, okay, babe.
No,
like,
I mean, I think that's iconic that you could already sort of see that because, fast forward to today and anything that happens, anyone will make it their own personal
thread,
trauma.
Twitter.
Twitter. Everyone is just absolutely beside themselves over anything they even hear about that doesn't concern them at all.
Right. It was like, oh, okay, so now we're squad because we're like the nihilists and just being
right.
like,
yes, fuck yes.
Fuck yeah.
Fuck Bush.
Fuck Bush.
Okay, dope.
So yeah, that's my 9/11 tale.
Yeah, and please
write in with yours.
Write in with your 9/11 tales, and when you realize that you were fucking based and badass and didn't give a fuck about 3,000 Americans losing their life. I'm sure like someone has an aunt who died and they're going to like write in and be like, I can't listen to the pod anymore.
But then of course I feel like as you called me out, just like obviously like so Cambridge pilled and just like everyone was fuck Bush. And then as I also mentioned, my mom's friend Annette, who took me to Reba, like came into the house in a huge Freedom Don't Run shirt. And I was so shocked, and I was so like, babe, what?
Wait, she was so just being like, pucker up, Osama. Like, we're coming for you.
I feel like it was in so much more of a casual way where she just like picked it up at CVS, picked up the Freedom Don't Run tee. Like, we didn't talk about it, but I was very just
I would not be surprised at all if you came over to my house today in a Freedom Don't Run t-shirt from CVS that you had just purchased. That wouldn't surprise me even a tiny bit.
Well, that's probably how I got so Freedom Don't Run, because she took me to country concerts and was wearing, it was my only exposure to Freedom Don't Run culture.
Right.
And everyone else around me was like, fuck the Iraq War.
Fuck the Iraq War, but like, remember the fallen.
Yeah.
You're like, bitch, who cares?
Freedom Don't Run. Okay, we should talk about the adoption and Roan.
Okay. Wait, I just had this page open. Maybe I should just wanted to maybe read this first quickly. Because it is the part about Amfar, which also this entire book is about Amfar, but like it's very hard the way that she lists celebrities. I just wanted to quickly.
Right before you say that, can I just say to our listeners that we have a huge history of knowing what Amfar is because of our love of Kathy Griffin. And she talks a lot about an Amfar event in her stand-up special, allegedly, which we were obsessed with.
Did she talk about Sharon Stone in that?
I think she does.
She does. And she's always just like, and then Sharon Stone came along, I would eat her shit. Like, I'm obsessed with her, but she doesn't care about me. Yes. So if we seem like we're using Amfar too casually, like we have too much of an intimate relationship with it, it's because we were obsessed with this Kathy Griffin DVD that we got at Virginia Megastore in junior year of high school called Allegedly. Do watch it. Okay. Anyway, this is how this program. Anyway, that year, the year I turned 50, I had finally reached the end of this press line when Cindy got pulled away to deal with another issue. Madonna had not arrived. She was quite late. As she had not arrived at the party in her honor on Barry Diller and Diane von Furstenberg's yacht the day before, we were all beginning to panic. What if she simply doesn't come? Well, I don't know what exactly had happened in Madonna's world that disallowed her to come to the party on the boat. I do know that Barry and Diane allowed me to turn this into a pre-fundraiser for Amfar. Then I asked the then head of Amfar, Kenneth Cole, and his notorious psychic at the time, Harvey Weinstein, if we would use this money to help fund pediatric research for HIV/AIDS treatment in China, as this year our other co-host was Michelle Yeoh, and our attention was on China. It's just like, okay, sorry, carry the two.
Yeah, no, truly carry the two. Like, how many more celebs, like,
are you trying to cram in? But just being like, and ultimately we were sort of trying to focus because Michelle Yeoh was involved, her being a Chinese actress, and we do support them. But then also she was dragging China for their treatment of Tibet.
Right. And I still stand by my views on...
Oh, and she does stand by her views. And she was like, and I stand by this, and Dior is bullshit.
The thing about her, Madonna, because it's like, there are these like two iconic blondes, and it's, you know, I feel like they also had like two amazing sessions of hangs. But she's like, we're so similar.
We're so similar, and we know each other so well, but we've only met once.
Right. Just very celeb, like, oh, my dear friend Madonna. I mean, they're both very AIDS fundraisers, so they probably...
So AIDS fundraiser.
Because also Amphar is Rosie O'Donnell.
Yeah. I mean, listen,
squad.
you know, if you're a fag hag, you're a fag hag. Sharon Stone obviously is a fag hag.
Well, she talks about...
Actually, speaking of fag hags, actually get out of my voice box. Like her best friend who Roy London, who did pass due to AIDS-related complications. And like she worked in the modeling industry, so obviously everyone died. And it's like, that's so Janice's book. There's like 3 chapters where just everyone is dying.
I mean, I think it's very like anyone
who's alive in the 80s.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, okay, wait, can you tell me what happened?
Sorry.
Here's my big question. She talks about how she lost custody of her first child, Roan. And then she says in the book, she goes, but due to legal reasons, I cannot speak about it. And then she she phrases it in this way where she's like, and like a good woman, I'm not going to talk about what I'm not supposed to talk about. So I'm not going to. And you're like, wait, sorry. So are you like speaking your mind or not? And then she just moves on to another topic.
So I was so confused, as we said, like in this book where you think you've missed a page. Because I also want to talk about how this book is made, like the binding of it. It has like rough pages.
Wait, I'm obsessed with you discussing the binding.
Yeah, let's get into book talk.
We never talk about the paperweight.
Yeah, no, let's get into stock.
It's a thick stock, and it has that thing that like nice books have where it's
uneven pages.
The length of the pages aren't even. I don't know if that's because the actual pages aren't even or because the way that it's bound.
I think it's bound to have that effect.
So, okay. So I know a little bit about bookbinding because I took a class at Gallatin called Making a Magazine.
Well, you know, there was also a bookbinding. I mean, again, showing our priv. There was a bookbinding class, I want to say, at my high school.
Yeah, I mean, your high school had the fakest classes in history.
Well, that's the thing. I was like, ooh, I can't camp, but I do need to go to a high school that has a bookbinding
class, a food class. Everyone else is just like fully having to read Ulysses and just like write a paper. And you're just like, bring in your favorite cupcake and talk about it.
That's not true. Okay, I was getting wokeified way earlier than everyone else. I read Fast Food Nation instead of camping for 2 weeks.
Oh, wait,
okay?
I remember that I read that because you read it. And then I didn't eat McDonald's for like 6 weeks and it was really hard.
See, like really affected you. And it was like everyone came.
Then I went back to eat McDonald's and I still do.
It was very that thing where it was like, we're just going to set up for everyone to come into this high school the most annoying person on earth.
No, I mean, your high school invented like woke culture, Tumblr culture, call-out culture,
call-out culture. Like, everyone was canceling everyone for just like going
everyone
to
was like fully like, I just like when I think of your high school, like everyone is just doing like the looks like they're about to have a panic attack. Just like that nervous energy when just like you're worried about an injustice that doesn't affect you.
Well, it also by the way, in the audiobook, she fake cries throughout the entire thing.
Oh my God.
She goes,
I need to hear this.
No, yeah, she's like, it makes me want to cry. And you're like,
she sounds so my mother also.
The Oscar, I mean, I'm just like handing her the Oscars because it's like, it's so
it's
fast.
Kind of insane that she only has 1 Oscar nom for Casino.
Well, wait. So this goes back.
We haven't talked about her career at all.
Yes.
Wait, but we also want to talk about.
We talk about Roan, and this goes back to the child. So, because I was like, wait, I need to figure out what's going on with this child and the adoption. And so I was going to wikis and stuff. And then I was looking through because I was like, I've seen Basic Instinct, and I've seen that Netflix movie, The Laundromat. She did with Meryl Streep, but I didn't realize how many Razzies she has because she always talks about like shitty films she has. She's been nominated for so many like Razzies.
I do also think though, like people have, and this happened with Demi Moore as well, where she was more respected after the fact, and partly because like people didn't have the same appreciation for like hardened women roles as they do now, and like didn't understand the sort of satire behind them. It's like, what's this, that guy who directed Basic Instinct, who also directed Showgirls, like
Paul Verhoeven.
Verhoeven. Like I think those films are recognized as like actually like quite smart and like good.
Yes,
and
and
at the time, people were being like, "What, a movie about strippers? This is bad. This is trashy." And like Basic Instinct was like thought of as trashy. And she has this part in the book where she was like, "Oh, and now everyone thinks it's cool." But you know, at the time, I didn't get any love for it.
Well, and so have you watched like the pussy scene? There's the whole thing where it's like you see her vagina, but you can't really.
I feel like I actually haven't even seen it, or maybe I saw it when I was 19 or something. But I know it's like the most iconic scene in film history. But I
have recently, before we even decided, it was like on Twitter or something like that.
I mean, it's a famous movie. You don't need to make excuses for having seen it. Like,
no. I've seen basically. I'm saying I watched a slow-mo
of the pussy scene. Because you a horn dog.
Yeah.
Well,
that's what was my
do you see Snatch or no?
You really hardly do.
Okay. Is it just like, is it like
so fast?
Is it like so dark and like kind of blurry?
It's super dark and there's like kind of, it looks like a white light and it's just so dark and it's just a flash.
You're not seeing like folds, lips.
No, you're not feeling
pink,
like folds.
Like there's nothing like that.
I mean, maybe someone with better eyesight come through and call me. Like I really like, and I went back again.
But you were watching this like really shitty pixelated
on Twitter, yes. And obviously I don't remember when I saw Basic Instinct.
Wow, the way those words just came out, that was crazy. Not a single syllable was correct. Okay.
Instinct.
Wait, I just found one more passage that I feel like really exemplifies the book in terms of the celebrity name dropping and also all of the charities that she's constantly starting.
I know you're about to read this passage. Do you know the part where she like method acting style goes to maximum security prison?
Oh my God.
I think we need to talk about.
Insane. No, that actually killed me. No, that was like the funniest part
the
ever.
most like 90s Hollywood thing where she's like, so I was cuffed and they checked my anus.
They checked all my orifice, and I had to walk through. And they told me that would be anonymous, but I wasn't. And as I walked through the prison, I heard them screaming,
"Fuck you,
Sharon Stone, Sharon fucking Stone, fuck you!" And every iteration thereof.
And she's walking in again in her classic look and short hair.
I'm sure she's already acting so much, and she's got like this slick back short hair, and she's like in the cuffs, and she's in the jumpsuit, and then she's like, and they take me in, and honey, there's no pillow. It's a cold steel black cot. This isn't the Four Seasons. It's Death Row.
If Death Row, it's not the Four Seasons. It's Death Row. And I just have to tell you, when I was in kindergarten, they took my class to the Belmont Town Jail.
Not the Belmont Jail.
And honey, let me tell you this. It did look like the Four Seasons in there. It was like, I literally remember jail cells. It was kind of like very Moulin Rouge. Like it looked a little like, I feel like there was crushed red velvet padding seats in the cells, in the holding cells.
I'm sorry. What do you get sent to the Belmont jail for?
I know.
When you bring home a Chardonnay instead of a Pinot Grigio, as your wife asked? When you get the wrong fabrics for the place settings?
Overnight, having too many guests.
Yeah.
On Thanksgiving.
You know what? I bet for
overnight parking.
Yeah, too many cars parked in your little cul-de-sac. Oh, my God.
I'm sorry.
Call the cops. I can't believe they took you to the Belmont jail.
They were being so like, they're scared straight, just like, okay, kids, like, you don't want to be bad because you could end up here in the Belmont jail.
Well, it worked.
It worked.
You've never been to jail, you prissy-ass little silver spoon-fed bitch.
Okay, I got a drinking ticket once, but no, I have not been to jail.
Like you got a drink ticket? Like at a show? Yeah.
I know, like a drinking...
See, I gave it to you.
A drinking ticket. I had to go to court.
That's
anyway,
huge.
But yeah, that's the thing about Sharon Stone is like she is such an activista, but again, it's like... in this most like 90s.
I mean, she's the most iconic 90s rich white woman. I mean, I also feel like actors don't do that kind of method acting prep anymore.
No, they don't. That's what, like, she is right. The films don't exist like that anymore.
They really don't. But okay, wait. Let me just read this passage I've been trying to read for the past 20 minutes. Okay. Okay. So we started Camp Planet Hope, first for homeless kids and then for homeless kids and their mothers, who generally slept outside and in the alleys of the shelters in an old appliance boxes, leaving the beds inside for their children. We got medical buses supplied from Cedars-Sinai with the help of Michael Douglas's family, and eventually dental buses supplied by my friend Dr. J. Grossman.
Not dental buses.
With whom we started Homeless Not Toothless. This allows homeless kids to have the dental care they need to go to school and homeless adults to have their dignity and health. We now have every kind of dental care and every type of dental specialist, all volunteers. William H. Macy and his wife, Felicity Huffman, helped us raise the funds. We are all complicated as we learn how to become transparent. And I'm just like, what? What the fuck is that last line? That makes no sense. Sorry.
Dental buses.
So you started Camp Planet Hope, then you started dental buses, then you started Homeless Not Toothless with Michael Douglas, but also with William Macy and Felicity Huffman. But we are all complicated as we learn to become transparent. Sorry. So like, it's really complicated of Felicity Huffman to like contribute to Homeless Not Toothless.
Because like she is also involved in a different toothless journey.
Because she is trying to sort of become more transparent in her life. I did like the connections. We're not making them, and it's like, Sharon, I don't know you. I'm not following.
Sorry, I'm not part of your family. I don't know you. The Segment Foundation. What does she eat?
What does she wear? How does she live? Okay. What is she? Well, she says she's a vegetarian.
Yeah, I mean, she also says she's anorexic. So
yeah, she's not eating that much.
She's not eating. And if she is she's definitely like, again, like making her 3 beautiful sons, like grilled chicken, and she's having one bite.
Yeah, I mean, there's the pizza scene with the like this canned like shitty tomatoes.
Crazy pizza scene.
So like she's, which kind of also gets back to your mom and her infamous like
the fruit quesadilla
at 3 a.m.
which we'll talk about another time.
But like maybe she is so just. I feel like I picture broccoli Rob, like broccoli Rob and like
spicy
and an egg, and it's like kind of, but she's not actually being so Alison Roman about it. Like she's not actually being like Himalayan sea salt, and she's not getting it so brazy. It's just kind of like steamed and whatever.
Steamed vegetables. And she's also like Pan Asian. She's like whole wheat udon.
Yeah, like Laird and Roan are coming over, and the house has so many Tupperware containers full of steamed broccoli Rob that like she hasn't eaten.
I think you're being a little experimental with so much steamed broccoli Rob. Again, she is like Irish, like it's steamed broccoli.
She's lived in California for like the past 30 years. I mean,
absolutely, but
she's not still just being like potatoes only.
No, but I mean, like, yes, there's broccoli Rob, but it's not only broccoli Rob. I just mean, I also see her at the farmer's market just being like, these leeks look wonderful today, and I became best friends. Oh, she also obviously talks about Marianne Williamson.
Yes.
In the book. Yeah, I don't know. It's fresh. It's
Marianne Williamson, who also is like so anorexic. Yeah, I mean, I think that she's buying
fresh steamed vegetables.
She's buying gorgeous leeks in there, sitting in a bowl on the counter, and like she's not doing anything.
They're like them. Also the Tupperware is like BPA freaking certified.
I hope so. Now that we know what it's doing to sperm count for Rowan and Laird.
Right, Laird better be fucking.
Okay, what does she wear?
What does she wear?
I mean,
well, she says all black. Johnny Cash is like her normal. I feel like she's like sleek black Armani t-shirt.
Okay, that's so funny because I actually think of her as so J-Lo in all white and only wearing like white sweaters and cream pants.
I know because I think of her so cream.
So she's actually in a it's a black and white photo on the cover. So
it's a gray. It's like a gray sweater.
Okay, but babe, this is a black and white photo. So this sweater could literally be purple, and you wouldn't know because that's what black and white does.
But I don't know. I get the vibe. It's gray.
Again, it's an actual black and white photo. So you getting the vibe it's gray is not a reflection of the true color.
I'm just saying she refers to herself as Johnny Cash multiple times in the book.
Who's also your style icon and is always wearing like a big black Western button down. Yeah, okay.
Well, it's a little more tighter fitted vibes.
I mean,
like
I
Johnny
guess that
Cash
makes
is
sense.
not so oversized.
No, and actually that kind of makes sense as like she as an East Coast anorexic girl. Like East Coast anorexic girls love to wear all black, so that kind of makes sense.
She's just like a black trouser, a black jean. I mean, I do think for red carpet 90s vibes, it is this like cream jacket as we're discussing.
But in the famous outfit she wore that black, it was dark
black
velvet.
blazer, black Armani. So it's all black.
Okay, you're right.
Ring of Fire. How does she live? I mean, Buddha to the boots.
Buddha to the boots. Okay,
Like-
I do feel like she has a 2-bedroom kind of like Hollywood Hills bungalow.
No, babe. Laird, Roan, and
Oh, and her 3 sons live with her.
3 sons. She has to have like a room
so you think
for
it's
Kelly.
so Nancy Myers and huge and
I
double
think it's,
island?
Yeah, I think it's double island. I think it's a huge white couch surrounded by Buddhas.
Yeah.
Huge island where they're gathered round eating the steamed vegetables.
Yeah, there's so many built-ins, like so many Marianne Williamson books and so
And
many
I feel
Amma
like
books.
the parents, the kitchen sink Irish parents moved in with her for a while. The father died. I feel like, I actually think it also could be Spanish and there's a casita.
I think there is a casita. I guess I feel, maybe it fully is Spanish.
It's Spanish Nancy Myers in the inside with Buddha.
Spanish Nancy Myers with Buddha. Yeah.
Which is kind of just the dream Hollywood home.
No, it really is. But I love that overlap. Oh, that's so beautiful.
Is that merch?
Yes. Spanish Nancy Myers with Buddha.
Okay, who are you in the book?
Oh, God. I mean,
Are you Stone?
I mean, at parts, I obviously identify with her, but she's so Kakusimo that I'm just I really stopped myself before I ever got to that point.
Yeah, I don't know if you're Stone. I mean, obviously, I think you got a little bit Stone, but also maybe you're.
In some ways, I wish I were more Stone. I mean, I do like how, when she talks, I will say, very little about her career in this book. We get a couple moments.
So much more.
Because, I feel like the biggest juicy reveal of the book is that she didn't know that they were filming her actual nude crotch,
And
which,
that's
as you
kind
say, isn't even really
But
nude.
it is this moment of like the pre-Me Too, just like she stands up to him and she gets lawyers and she's like, I should have known.
I should have known. But then she's like, I actually do want it in because it's like good for the character or whatever.
The other part about her career that she's being like so like, she's like, I'm this like amazing producer and I cast Russell Crowe before anyone wanted to. And I cast Leo before anyone wanted to.
I was like, wait, what? Because she talks about the next few movies on. She was just like, and I picked, like, I invented Leonardo DiCaprio, I invented Russell Crowe, I invented Sam Raimi. It's like, you invented all of these.
Okay, you thought, I feel like I'm Sharon Stone because when I'm kitchen sink Irish, too, because I'm always claiming that like I invented you and Daniel or whatever.
Oh,
and
yeah, no,
being,
you
like,
literally brought us together. You like invented my style.
I'm always like, I invented it. Like, I called it. Like,
you called it. You turned me on to like everything I've ever been interested in.
And it's like, I want to be her lesbian security guard who died of cancer, but like,
yeah, I would love for you. But
it's like that woman sounded like.
I mean, that woman was okay. Here's the thing, and this is what I think is so. Occasionally, you dip into this, but I think what's so good about you in this way is you're not that kind of lesbian who's like so
checking tires, being like,
well, who's so that, but who's so just like obviously in love and obsessed with the straight woman and just like follows her around and like I think that is such a lesbian trope of like those like kind of like 70% butch lesbian who just kind of like such a Kimmy on
I was
Anna
about to say,
Nicole,
yes, who follows
you know what I mean? Who follows this like crazy straight woman around and just like clearly is in love with her and like does her bidding. Like, I don't think that you are that kind of person. You don't think you're Kimmy from Anna Nicole.
Yeah, like nasty ass Kimmy. But also, I'm also not like fixing.
Am I Madonna because I'm not showing up to like Diane Van Furstenberg's yacht?
I think you're Madonna. And are you, I want to say this, but you're not, Jude Law vaccinating, just like
vaccinating like so many refugees, so many child soldiers. No, if I am anything, I am not like.
I think
fake
here's
foundation.
we're
My whole
both
thing
Stone. You're Stone in your study of broadness,
but I'm not Stone. I'm like the least fake charity person ever. Like, you will never see me fucking share a goddamn fundraiser link in my life unless I'm like working for the candidate, in which case I'm getting paid for it. But like, I'm not like, I'm doing this foundation.
So
to
now
look good.
we know who you are. You're just actually just like a random gay working the MFAR. And you're texting me on the BlackBerry being like, oh my God, Sharon Stone is here.
No, and I'd be just be like,
oh my God,
and I'd actually be like, Madonna's not here yet. Madonna hasn't showed up yet.
Fire code, Madonna's not here yet.
No, literally DEFCON 5. Yeah. Madonna hasn't arrived. Okay, that's me. Well, this book was a journey.
It was a true journey. I give it, okay, I'll say this. Audiobook, I give it 9 $10,000 charity plates out of 10.
Yeah.
The book, I don't know, 8.5. It's like, do read it. It's fucking random.
I have a very different recommendation than you, even more so than other. Like, to me, this book is actually like a 2 out of 5 Barry Diller yachts. I'm like, there was so much of this book is just kind of hard to follow and rambly and random.
No, and I think that's why I'm saying because as I told you, I was packing all this weekend and I started reading and I was like, well, one, I'm just not going to have time to read this book, so I have to go audio. But also I was opening up and getting confused. So I'm with you on reading the actual book where you're like, what? And then I was still on audio and like I would go back because I'd be like vacuuming or something and I'd be like, wait, what's going on?
Like, I get that she is fab and she literally is Sharon Stone. Like, there's no debate about the fact that she is Sharon Stone. Like, that is definitely 100% true. But I'm kind of just like, okay, I was into the Munchausen medical stuff because like of my whole medical issue, and I was into the idea like when she tells her dad like imagine that the tumor, because when her dad has esophageal cancer, and she's like, and they're like, oh, we can't operate because the tumor's not actually in the esophagus.
Like, imagine it's coming out,
and she was just like, imagine it needed to move into the esophagus for them to be able to operate on it, and she was like, imagine it's moving in, and he did for a week, and then it literally moved, and I was like, okay, that's him. I'm into this whole just like forcing your body via mental focus to like do what it needs to do. But overall, the book was just like so scattered. There wasn't enough like talk about her actual career.
Yeah,
there wasn't enough. There was name dropping, but there wasn't any like actual tea. Like unlike Janice, which is just like, yeah, I fucked this person, or unlike Jennifer Lewis is like, this person had this big of a dick. I was like, we didn't get actually any tea about any of these people.
No, and I will say I love all those books actually much more than this. I think it's like it's in this another genre where I just like appreciated like how redonk and carrying and like narcissistic it was.
Yeah. No, I
kind of this like genre of just being like, damn, bitch. You're really just going all the way.
You're really carrying.
You're really caring about just like your time in Africa and just like the 90 foundations you're doing. So yeah, I would say all those other books that you mentioned that we've read are better, but I'm just like, yeah, she carries.
Yeah.
And that's
and
what
then
I appreciate.
we didn't even read the Patti Smith
We didn't even get...
there is a part where she, Patti Smith, and Donna Karan are all at the same restaurant in downtown Manhattan.
Eating a late lunch alone, and they all start to gabbing.
They all gab. And it's Donna Karan comes over and says hello, and then Patti Smith comes over and says, hey, I want in on this.
Oh, this is what I was going to say, actually. I'm Patti Smith. You're Donna Karan.
Oh, I've got these massive jugs.
Huge taws. I guess actually in that sense.
You're Donna Karan.
I'm Donna Karan.
I'm Sharon
You're Sharon
Stone.
Stone. We're both talking to Patti. We're both talking to each other. And then Patti Smith walks up to us and is like, I want in.
I want in. And we're just like, this is the best moment of our life.
Exactly. It's just like that. I mean, that's also what my mom is, because my mom is obsessed with Patti Smith. And like, and Sharon Stone is so like, fuck Mick Jagger. Patti Smith.
Yeah. No, when she said, and Patti walked over and I said, Mick who?
Yeah, Mick who?
Y'all.
Do what you will with that.
Do what you will with this.
And
with all this information that you have been bequeathed. Ultimately, like, do be suspicious of doctors. Like,
no, truly ask for
don't have your best interest in heart. Ask for a second opinion. Get your friends in the operating room.
No, get them to hold your hands. Like, doctors are always talking so fast, and you're like, sorry, slow down. I also didn't go to med school.
Well, they're
like,
literally just trying to get you at the doors and get the fucking next person on the goddamn table. And
money,
it's like,
money.
Yeah.
Doctors are fake.
So our next book is so exciting. It is going to be our second set of sisters.
Wait, Augustine and Sarah.
Yeah.
But these are very different types of sisters.
Very American sisters.
A little more sisters that, yeah, I'd like to see be sisters, if you know what I'm saying.
Oh, Lily, literally, you need to be put in jail. You need to go into horny prison. We are talking, of course, about none other than WWE superstars, the Bella
Twins.
They're also on the show Total Divas.
Total Divas, which I need to like binge this week.
I've seen it. It's really good. One of them was dating, I want to say John Cena. Yeah.
And we haven't done a wrestling book yet, which is super exciting.
I'm super excited to dive into that industry.
The wrestling industry.
Even more crazy about this episode is we will be breaking Celebrity Book Club convention for the very first time and having, in the first time in history,
a guest. Or two guests.
Not just one guest, but two. We will be
cross-podding,
joined by the host of the incredible podcast Who Weekly, which dives into the
pop culture
and those C-list, wait, who's that kind of celebrities that you just love to make fun of and your life as a guilty pleasure consumer. And we're going to have an amazing
little chit-chat.
Yeah, a little
around
chit-chat.
the ring. We're going to get in the ring with them.
We're going to
Smackdown, okay? Total Smackdown.
Total podcast.
Celebrity Book Club and Who Weekly.
Who will win? 4 hosts enter, 1 host leaves.
So get like super pumped for
get
that.
Fucking pumped to get fucking wasted to listen to that at 9 a.m. next Wednesday.
Hell yeah.
Okay, well, we will see you soon.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. Best.
Celebrity Book Club is presented by Pro Love Projects and HeadGum. The show is produced by Meg Murnane with editorial support from Andrew Parsons and Leon Nafalk. Engineering by Ferris Monchi. Original theme song by Stephen Phillips Horst. Artwork by Teddy Blanks at Chips NY. Follow us on Twitter at CBC The Pod. Subscribe in your favorite podcast app. Leave us a review and don't forget to tell your friends about us.
That was a HeadGum podcast.